The tensions in the South China Sea are escalating, with both China and the United States making pre-war preparations. Some analyses are suggesting that the U.S. military may bomb Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea. The Sino-Indian border is also becoming increasingly tense, with the possibility of war looming on the horizon. In today's episode, we will analyze the Chinese army from 4 aspects to help the audience understand the real situation of the Chinese army. 1. The nature of the army. 2. Army management. 3. Soldiers of the PLA. And 4. What is advocated in the PLA. One, the nature of the military. The People's Liberation Army, briefly PLA, is the largest army in the world, with more than 2 million people. This army does not belong to any country, but to a political party, the Chinese Communist Party. On December 21, 2019, Xiaoyu Qiliang, current vice chairman of the Central Military Commission of the Communist Party of China, published an op-ed in People's Daily, a newspaper of the CCP Central Committee, entitled, "Adhering and Improving the Party's Absolute Leadership System over the People's Armed Forces," which begins with, "The 19th CPC National Congress has elevated adherence to the absolute leadership of the party over the People's Armed Forces to a basic strategy for adhering to and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era." On November 10, 2013, People's Daily forwarded an article from the People's Liberation Army Daily stating, "Resolutely resists misguided political views, such as nationalization of the military. The Chinese Communist Party demands absolute loyalty from its military, and therefore it says that China's military is essentially the CCP's guard, and it only follows CCP orders." The PLA, which answers only to the CCP, will not protect Chinese people at the most critical moment, but will shoot at anyone according to the orders from CCP. That's why on June 4, 1989, PLA opened fire on innocent students and ordinary people advocating for political reforms and democracy in a bloody crackdown that resulted in the death of at least 10,000 people. The Tiananmen Square massacre shocked the world. In addition to the military exercises, the June 4, 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre was the most recent large-scale military operation by the Chinese military, when Deng Xiaoping, then chairman of the Military Council of the CPC Central Committee, mobilized over 200,000 troops into Beijing. A great concern is the fact that the Chinese Communist Party does not represent the Chinese people, and that the CCP was formerly the Far Eastern branch of the Communist International. The CCP is an anti-human organization and is an enemy of the Chinese people in every way. In a series of commentaries published by the Epoch Times, 9 commentaries on the Communist Party, it wrote, "Since 1949, the CCP has persecuted more than half the people in China. An estimated 60 million to 80 million people died from unnatural causes. This number exceeds the total number of deaths in both world wars combined." The CCP is a political party, but the soldiers who profess to support the CCP are from ordinary society. Can they truly support the CCP? Many are simply putting up a superficial facade. 2. Military administration. In order to achieve the Communist Party's goal of controlling the military, there are measures in place for the management of the military. The first is the implementation of the dual head system in the army, which means that in addition to administrative commanders at all levels of the army, there are also political committee members at the same level representing the CCP, with the political committee members having the same rank as the administrative commanders, and a different division of labor with mutual checks and balances within the administration. Party branches are built on the company, is a basic principle and system of the CCP in building the party and the army, and it plays a key role in establishing the CCP's absolute control over the army. The second is the development of the CCP members in the army. To strengthen the CCP's brainwashing and education of soldiers, the most rigorous work in the army is the so-called ideological and political education. The first criterion of the army management assessment is political loyalty, that is, absolute loyalty to the CCP. Soldiers have political studies for about 2 hours every afternoon and must watch CCTV, the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, at 7 p.m. each night. At least 2% of Chinese soldiers are members or backup members of the Chinese Communist Party. 3. Military personnel. the army with only one child. Who can become a soldier? Article 3 of the Military Service Law of the People's Republic of China provides that male citizens who have reached the age of 18 by December 31st of each year shall be called up for active military service. Those who were not recruited in that year may still be recruited for active service until the age of 22. Based on age projections, the general birth range for Chinese active duty soldiers is 1994 to 2002. During this period, China implemented the one-child policy, and according to the 2000 Chinese census, the total fertility rate was 1.22 for the 10-year period from 1990 to 2000, which was lower than the world average of 2.5 and the U.S. average fertility rate of 1.8. This means that children are often pampered by the adults. Despite the fact that China's military has a total of more than 2 million people, positions in the military are very tight and competition is fierce. In a country with a population of about 1 million, there are less than 30 slots. Why do many people have to pay for the privilege of being a soldier when they have to suffer a lot? This is related to the employment situation in China. According to the website of China's Ministry of Education, 10.31 million people applied for the 2019 Chinese college entrance exam, and 8.2 million people were admitted, and more than 2 million people who couldn't get into college had to find a job. The number of college graduates in 2019 was 8.34 million, and according to official data, about 420,000 of them could not find a job, making the average number of new entrants to the labor market at least 2.42 million per year. On May 29th, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang said that 600 million people in China have a monthly income of less than 1,000 yuan, and the price of pork is about 50 yuan per kilogram. Housing is also very expensive, and this is what you can rent in Guangzhou for 1,680 yuan a month, or 241 USD. People barely make any money from farming. The average Chinese farmer has 2 mu of land per person, equivalent to 0.33 acres, and the net profit per mu is only 300 to 1,000 RMB, 43 or 144 USD per year, excluding labor costs. If you can't go to college, it's difficult to find a job, and there's no money to be earned from farming, so the military has become the solution for many people. In addition to providing food, shelter, and clothing, the Army also provides monthly allowances, and families can enjoy preferential treatment totaling up to a total income of up to 40,000 yuan, or 5,700 USD, for 2 years in the military. This is equivalent to having a steady job, with a typical monthly salary of 4,500 yuan, or 643 USD a month, or more. As a result, many people bribe their way to become a soldier. Depending on the region, it costs at least 1,428 USD for an average male soldier and over 7,142 USD for a good military branch. It's even more expensive to be a female soldier, with the 2007 standard in Yantai City, Shandong Province, being 14,285 USD. So Chinese soldiers are not here to defend the country, they are here to make a living. 4. What PLA advocates? The Chinese Army advocates political toughness, military neatness, not afraid of hardship, and not afraid of death. The political toughness, which actually refers to the absolute loyalty to the CCP leader, has already been discussed earlier. Whoever goes along with the CCP ideas, shouts the slogan, "Support the CCP" loudest, and says it most often in the Chinese Army, is the one who is most loyal to the CCP. If you want to get a promotion in the Army, you have to do so regardless of whether you support the CCP or not. Otherwise, you have no chance. So shouting slogans and faking it until you make it become one of the Army's specialities. Military neatness is about making yourself look good and cool for the public. In terms of training, the Chinese military places the greatest emphasis on 2 things: formation training and housekeeping. The memory of Army life for many veterans is that in addition to political studies, cleaning and chores take up a lot of time each day. The veterans have a saying: the people in the Army, except for childbirth, everything must be done. Not afraid of hardship, and not afraid of death, emphasize the spirit of sacrifice. To obliterate the soldier's ability to think independently is to train the soldier to absolutely obey orders and be indifferent to life. Chinese military commanders, who have always disregarded the lives of their soldiers, use inhumane tactics in battle. That is, they are not afraid of dying. In the Chinese Civil War, waged by the CCP to seize power against nationalist Kuomintang from 1927 to 1949, the CCP military commanders mostly let a large number of ordinary people and soldiers charge in the front lines, in exchange for the so-called victory at a heavy cost of death and injury. This was their standard practice in large-scale battles, such as the Siping Battle and the Menglianggu Battle and the Hua He Battle. The death toll of the Chinese Communist Army in the successive wars in which it has participated is always a mystery because of the CCP's tight control over the propaganda media and outlets, and the real information cannot be known to the outside world. For example, in November 1950, during the Korean War, the CCP tried to annihilate the U.S. Army's 1st Division at the expense of countless human lives. In the bitterly cold weather, 150,000 men of the 9th Regiment of the elite East China Field Army, dressed only in thin clothes, were rushed into the war. After the war, the Chinese Army commander of the 9th Corps Sung Shilun, in a telegram to Peng Dehui, then commander of Chinese troops, and report to the Central Military Commission, said that the 5th Company of the 242nd Regiment, except for a fallen-behind soldier and a correspondent, the whole company set up an ambush to prepare to attack and annihilate the U.S. 7th Division, 31st Regiment. When the battle began, no one in the company stood up. It was found when cleaning up the battlefield that the entire company cadres and the soldiers froze to death in battle formation, with no wounds and blood in the remains. Let's take another look at the heroic and exemplary figures of the Chinese Communist Army that made it into the textbooks. First-class combat hero Chiu Xiaoyun, killed in the Korean War at the age of 26. He was a soldier of the 9th Company of the 87th Regiment before his death. CCP textbooks state that on the night of October 11, 1952, Chiao's unit was on combat duty at the 391st Heights, a United Nations outpost position northeast of Iron Plains, south of Pyongyang, North Korea. Chiu and more than 500 other men lurked in the bushes in front of the U.S. military site. At about 12 a.m. on the 12th, American troops fired incendiary bombs at Chiu's lurking place, one of which landed near his lurking spot, and the fire spread to him. However, Chiu endured severe pain and held still so as not to reveal the location of the troops' ambush. Even though there was a ditch behind him, he didn't move a muscle until he was killed in action. This was a complex hoax with many plot holes. Why didn't the weapons and ammunition Chiu was carrying explode after the fire? The grass around him is all burned out and he's still burning in flames, yet the Americans can't see? Human beings produce subconscious reflex actions to the severe pain produced by fire. And the center that controls this primitive reflex of pain is not the brain, but the spinal cord. Chiu could not endure the intense pain of the fire, forcibly controlling himself in the blazing fire without moving or uttering a word until he was burned alive. Li Feng, before his death, he was a soldier of the PLA Motor Corps in Fushan, Liaolin Province, and died in the line of duty on August 15, 1962. In 1963, Mao Zedong, then leader of the Communist Party of China, personally inscribed, "Learn from Comrade Li Feng." It was publicized by the Chinese media that Li Feng did good deeds without letting others know his name or expecting thanks in return. It is said that an American journalist asked the organizer 3 questions after seeing the Li Feng's good deeds photo exhibition. 1. Why did Li Feng leave so many photos under the difficult conditions at the time? 2. Many of his photos were taken when he was doing good deeds. Did he always follow the photographer around him? 3. Li Feng never left his name after doing good deeds. Then how did you know his good deeds? The heroic models set up in the Chinese Communist Army were also created for propaganda purposes. But with the Communist Party controlling the propaganda and all media censorship and surveillance, the people could never hear other voices and slowly believed these. By analyzing 4 aspects: 1. The nature of the army, 2. The management of the army, 3. The soldiers, and 4. What the army advocates, we can conclude that the PLA is an army that only tells lies to create a superficial appearance. Like a paper tiger, It is an army that looks brave and strong on the surface. In fact, it is like tofu, pretending to be steel, but will collapse instantly when touched.